You're really getting around the block with partners this event.
What can I say? A man-eater today.
So are Space Soldiers, by the looks of it, after that AGO game, and they're keeping that pace, Vince. This is so fast, right into the A site, 2 quick kills already. Even Easy Tag over towards Mini's trying to find some footing, but he blindsides one and stops the bomb. Whoa, what's this? 3v3 out of nowhere.
In the blink of an eye. It looked like it would be easily Space Soldiers, but Engine has taken the equality away from Heroic and is going to put that firmly in favor of Space Soldiers. Bomb still hasn't been planted. The bomb went sprawling out towards main side, so Tag is going to have that covered with his USP. He knows that Engine was last seen around Squeaky, and he's made a couple more shots with this Glock, and now that's going to be him laid down. Modi goes in one more into Calyx, leaving Zentares, and just 17 health. And it stands between Space Soldiers and a defeat in this first round. He's down to 1 now. Surely his days are numbered, though. He doesn't have the bomb, doesn't have positional advantage, doesn't have any grenades to really burst out on either. And it is going to be the round going away of Heroic with a shot delivered by Tag into the head. He gets a 4K too, very well played. And Heroic do get the first round for themselves.
Yeah, that round is all Easy Tag. I mean, a 5 versus 3 for Space Soldiers. Everything looked like it was going really well for them until that smoke grenade on Mini actually misses its mark. And it created just a small enough gap for Easy Tag to get his crosshair inwards. He not only clears, obviously, the player in the back of the site, but most importantly, that bomb carrier. You saw the entire pace of the round just come to a standstill once he gets those first 2 kills. And then following it up with 2 more headshots, because why not? I mean, just immediate and total turnaround, which is something that maybe we can expect from Heroic. I would say, just taking a quick glance at like the route they've got played to get here, Space Soldiers have just been playing better CS. Space Soldiers have looked incredible from the tidbits that I've caught, and a little bit of a flub pistol round is a great way for Heroic to, you know, kind of put a dampener on that. I mean, it's clear that Space Soldiers wanted to set a fast pace, and if Heroic are able to contain it for the first few rounds, then maybe they're going to do something here on their choice of Nuke.
Yeah, and I feel like this is probably Heroic's best chance, right? We discussed this a little bit before we went live, that this is a map where Heroic, if they want to take us to 3, this is where it's going to happen. Train is going to be very difficult for them to pick up. Modi, he's about to get tested, though. He's going to see multiple players pushing his location. MP9 Taylor made those close-knit confrontations, which Asilian has proven elsewhere on Topaz, but Ramp has been compromised. And now Heroic have to try and turn their attention through Decon and the double doors to see if they can stop this plant. The spray through the smoke is good to stop Calyx, and he's been laid down. The bomb is going to go back in for another plant. This time it's going to be successful. It's unlikely that Space Soldiers will hold on to the retake, but a bomb plant really isn't too bad. They did invest all their money, though, so it does give Heroic a chance to leapfrog into a 3-0 lead, and they are going to get the retake no problems. Only Modi falls, so all things considered, not too bad for Heroic.
One of those situations where just because Space Soldiers don't get any kills prior to the bomb plant, they really have 0 chance in the after plant. You see, of course, Heroic throw 3 bodies over towards decontamination, all 3 of those players using a different angle to spam through the smoke. So they're just softening up and clearing targets before they even have to get that retake rolling. And then once it does happen, it's 2 players for the CTs per side of the bomb site. And that's just an easy trade frag situation. So unfortunately for Space Soldiers, they don't get any kills, although they find that plant, right? So a little economic cushion moving forward, but this round's going to be tough. I do like that they at least get in with the double deagles. You never know when you can catch a headshot, and these are very competent players at that, right? So there's no surprise if they are able to deag maybe 1 or 2. But I like the stance Heroic they're making over here towards outdoors. Asilian very passively back towards this big garage. He does have Freiberg kind of floating here inside of Mini, but with an MP7, he's just waiting for the players to come inwards. And Asilian will actually peek out, getting himself 2. Freiberg able to chime in now as he strikes outwards, and it leaves it in a 4v2 with Calyx already so heavily damaged.
And he will be finished off by Asilian, so it is pretty much going the way that we anticipated. Sure, 1 kill, not too bad for Space Soldiers with such a low investment, and they will have a solid purchase into the 4th round. But good news for Heroic that they're able to hold it down. And I agree, I like the setup, I like Asilian's positioning, just making sure they couldn't run into main and overwhelm the A site from a 2-pronged attack, I should say. I'm kind of curious to see how many SMGs Heroic keep in their back pocket. It's actually going to be 2 and 3. They've got MP7, MP9, and UMP. A lot of teams would actually trade out at least one of those for an extra assault rifle, so they'd have more power in this round. So this is kind of a bit of a sketchy situation for Heroic, but if it pays off, then man, their economy is going to boost so hard.
Yeah, definitely. It's also, in my mind, fun to note, like, how cool is it that, or maybe cool is not the right word, but we have 3 SMGs that are viable options in the Counter-Strike meta right now. Like, the MP7 with its economic advantages now makes it certainly viable, but it will be tested, no doubt, outside of door. Has is going to find his entry over towards the hut door, and then there's a little bit of a lineup. So we get this flurry of frags back and forth, leaving us into the 2 versus 2, but EC Tag's op needs to reposition. He does not feel safe, and I love that he's going to go join Asilian. By the time he gets there, the smoke will have faded, so this is a very viable angle for them to try and work, but Engine gets the best of the first, and the Opera's going to have to clutch. It's EC Tag again, already working his way in. Sitting on 2, but not the 3rd. It's Major to take him, and Space Soldiers to the board.
Was labored in the end, though, and that's going to cost them in terms of their finances. They're going to have to go back in, dig deep into their pockets, and as it stands, both teams aren't going to have great finances. So this is effectively a 2-for-1 round. This is sort of one of the first fulcrum points that we've seen on Nuke, where the winner of this could take a decent lead if it's Heroic, go up to maybe a 5-1 scoreline, and if it's Space Soldiers and they really claw Heroic back into this, into the very boggy waters of the CT side. Major picking up the AWP from S-Attack has landed a shot onto Asilian through the smoke, but it lands into his calf. So he's only down to 17 as opposed to down and out completely. That's a decent trade that kicks things off. Modi needs to be very wary because there are multiple terrorists moving on his position.
And it was his position that faltered the first time they were able to get down onto the B site. That was when they just had pistols. This time he uses a different angle, and he still floats around because he has a teammate with him. But although it is Asilian tagged to 17, EC Tag trying to fall back in through hell, but Space Soldiers are going to wait a moment.
Yeah, they're not going too aggressive. They're allowing Heroic to maybe walk into their own noose here in transition, and now think better of it. Really flirting with the idea of getting down to ramp. Now they're moving back into lobby, hoping, praying that Heroic have moved out. Freiburg is still in close enough proximity, though. He's starting to make a move towards main. Calyx peering into the hut. 40 seconds to go. They may have taken some time away from Heroic, but ultimately now Space Soldiers have got to get an entry, and it has to come soon. Heroic haven't really bit down too hard on this. Now the smoke is going to fend off Freiburg. Has to toss in an A to push through that smoke, and he's going to get himself a frag alongside Nico. It seems like the lack of aggression, the lack of initiative to go down ramp is going to cost Space Soldiers dearly. It's not happening for them. Major tried to dart away and save the AWP, but he's found by Asilian. Solid hold by Heroic.
Great hold by Heroic. I mean, like you said, right, they pump their brakes towards ramp, and that comes back to cost them. You could see what they were doing. They were trying to use that element of surprise to just strike in on Heroic, but using a set piece of utility to blow open the door definitely telegraphs what you're up to, considering that does give that extra 2-3 seconds for Heroic to prepare. So I feel like you almost lose the element of surprise with that kind of a setup. Albeit, of course, unsuccessful thanks to the great utility response of Heroic. Freiburg applying pressure with a frag and just blindly spraying through smoke. That's all thanks to the flashbang of his teammate over on the other side of the bomb site. And sure enough, speak of the devil, Freiburg's going to pick up the first kill here versus mostly pistols. Sure, Calyx has a scout. Space Soldiers have something to play with in this round. But seeing as what we've seen from Heroic already, this looks like a walk in the park.
Certainly does. They're a team, of course, that have a lot of experienced shoulders to lean on, the likes of Modi and Freiburg, namingly. Been on the block quite a few times. Asilian M4 spray on point. Paz has his head caved in. And as you anticipated, Scrawny, it's looking like this is going to go pretty smoothly. But Calyx has taken Asilian off the table, so that is at least one weapon they're going to have to replenish. And of course, their finances still aren't fantastic, so any more kills at this point would put Heroic into a bit of a dicey spot in the next round. And Space Soldiers still have 38 seconds in which they can try and make that a reality. Modi is going to be tested in ramp, finds the kill into Major, but more importantly, finds the bomb. And now Heroic can stack on top of it.
That's a neatly packaged gift there. Lands straight in his lap. He even has the support of EC Tag to come over. What I like about you bringing up the experience of Heroic here, Vince, is that it's also experience from players that generally played on teams that love this map. Heroic has been playing Nuke for the longest of times. Even back when, you know, Yugi was still on this roster, like they always had that classic Nuke pocket pick. It's just typical Danes. Freiburg, obviously, the glory days of NIP and Nuke, it's a whole other story. So I'm glad to see them actually getting this into the series, because I think it's going to allow for them to give us maybe more of a showing. Space Soldiers can definitely rattle their brains in certain maps, but this one's a chance, and so far it's going smoothly. Even though they lose one player thanks to Calix's scout, it's still so many men surviving. It's solid economy behind it, and it's only Glocks ahead. So if anything, it's going to go from bad to worse for Space Soldiers.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way, especially as Paz has already been found wanting by Asilian's M4. These kind of situations, you expect Space Soldiers to pretty much stack together and just rush as one united force and try and break through the shackles of Ramp in this case. But Modi padding those stats with Asilian, a bit too easy. Engine, I think, was watching the backside in case someone went looking from the CTs. But when you're against very low buy on pistols, that's one of the ways from a CT's perspective that you can actually let things slip. So it's never really going to happen. Heroic, though, comfortable round in the end, 6-1. But Space Soldiers come straight back in with a buy of their own.
I'm excited to see if Space Soldiers decide to go back to that faster tempo, because we've seen them really change things up, right? They had the complete and total A-site commitment in the pistol round rush. We had that ramp entry turned into a complete 180 as well. So I feel like they're still trying to figure things out on this T side, trying to find that groove, that successful room. Although this time it smokes up and over the building, and in proactive play from Heroic, EasyTag is going to position his op so dangerously close to lobby, but this could definitely catch Space Soldiers sleeping. They have to be cautious here, and as does Heroic, because if EasyTag falls, that is ramp open for the taking.
It's such a narrow angle he's watching too. Doesn't give him much room for errors. Xantares, Major, and Paz, though. They don't care about EasyTag. He's not required. They're going to go elsewhere. EasyTag with a really ballsy push. It's going to get away with it with the 3K. What is happening here? Space Soldiers, this had to be your round. And now suddenly, they could be throwing this away. Take nothing away from EasyTag. Incredibly ballsy play is going to pay out for him. But he is against Xantares, a man that is so good in these scenarios. It really is a coin flip here, Scrawny, who's going to win this round now.
This is the second time we've seen EasyTag bail his team out of a tricky situation, and most notably on the A site. But this one's going to be tough because he's still playing with the op. CZ needs to be reloaded. That's 12 bullets in. Full belt of utility as well, and he knows exactly what's up. It's the B site plant from Xantares. He's going to reel his way back into decontamination, and he's going to get a gunfight right here, right now. And it's Space Soldiers to take. A valiant effort there from EasyTag. What a flank, Vince. That would have been a phenomenal single-handed play.
Absolutely. And even as it stands, yeah, it feels bad that he didn't get the win. But look at what that's done to the funds of Space Soldiers. They've reset their round loss bonus. They're down by and large to under $1,000 on everybody apart from Calix. That one play, if Space Soldiers lose this round, is going to put them back into a horrendous position.
Yeah, he didn't necessarily pull the trigger, but he's definitely pulled back the hammer. And this round could be a through and through, as they've got the first kill already towards Outdoors. Paz will respond, though. Asilian couldn't get himself out of that position. He was so committed to the red box. And now, I like this. Freiburg and Nico, sitting up above Hut, trying to play these closer positions. That's what EasyTag was able to use in order to find the weakness in the setup last round. And look at them, going on an expedition.
Getting all the info for his team, allowing them to bolster up elsewhere. And now Xantares is going to find out exactly where Nico is. Paz, in the meanwhile, going to try and shut him down. Very important to get that kill, but Nico does 98 damage to Paz. His job has been done, and then some. He needs the rest of his team to capitalize on what he started, and, well, Modi's unable to do it. This is going to give up ramp. Freiburg's caught in two minds. Does he go down to B? Does he stay on A? And now I think he's realized that once he hears the footsteps, and I think a window shattered downstairs, that it is going to be a B plan. In amongst the smoke, Space Soldiers have a real chance at getting a third round.
EasyTag trying to catch the planter by surprise, and he will manage to get him out of his after plant position, but Calix is so close to the smoke, and he's going to try to spam. Now confirmed that both the Heroic players are here. and he's just looking to distract them with the flashbangs. He needs to keep the gunfight away from Paz because as said, he's on 2 HP. Calyx trying to tuck tail. Freiburg gives chase, and it's right into the trap. That's so nicely set there between Calyx and Paz.
That's exquisite work, really, at the end. Esetag getting a kill, the flick shot in the first place next to the doors. You thought it was back on for Heroic. Not the case. Space Soldiers live to fight another day, and now it's Heroic's turn to feel the burn of the economy. As they actually gone for a half buy, they're not going to be putting all their chips on the table. I do like this. When you've got a bit of a buffer of rounds, there's no reason to go all in until you feel comfortable. And sure, this should be Space Soldiers claiming another round for themselves, but they have gone 1-for-1 early doors here in round 10. And it's going to be a bit nervy for them as the round progresses on.
Now all these CTs are looking to swarm this outer area. You can tell Space Soldiers a little hesitant here, and understandably so. They know that scout's out there, but they've dealt with it. It's going to be getting past these 3 remaining pistols. Bomb still patiently back towards spawn. Major's got the eyes above, set with the scope of the op. And this is great from Space Soldiers. Take a breather right now, because you don't want to sustain any unnecessary losses. You've already given EasyTag multiple chances to do that. As we alluded to, his 4K on the op definitely smashed the cache of Space Soldiers. They're going to group up and just trade frag to the win.
Slow and steady wins the race. At least that's what Space Soldiers are hoping as they slowly maneuver their way through into ramp. There are a lot of angles in ramp, especially up on the boost to Calyx's right-hand side. They're checking now. It can be a real issue, and the box additionally. But unbeknownst to Space Soldiers, though they are starting to find the knowledge for themselves, no one was home. And B is completely ripe for the taking. The only person standing between them is Modi, and he's been shut down with authority. 2 players in decon, and Major's going to go in for 1, and it should be Engine to clear up the rest, as he is the closest player in. Pop flash into peak. Very nicely done. Smooth by Space Soldiers.
Even just using a flashbang to clear out the player you know is in that room, right? Just the small pieces here by Space Soldiers. The teamwork that I think you have to constantly praise with these guys. I feel like every time I watch Space Soldiers, they play as a solid unit. You know, I'm thinking in this most recent round, the way they all just side by side creep over towards the ramp. We'd seen that previously as well in just straight up gun rounds too. They're very successful in their trade frags and their side by side gameplay, but this is an explosive round being set by Space Soldiers. Oh, they walk into Nico, losing 2, and Asilian's got one of his own. So it's even keel once more. Major disjointed as he remains outdoors, and Xantares will grab that bomb.
6 kills they're scoring within 20 seconds of the round starting. Just pure bloodshed, mayhem, carnage. And it really is up for debate once again. Xantares have 2 players pushing his location. He's safe for the time being with smoke, but no longer is that the case. The bomb goes out once again, and Major in no man's land has to try and retrieve what was once theirs. There's smoke onto the bomb, peering around the corner. Grenade going to land just ahead of him. Doesn't do quite as much damage as Heroic would have been hoping for. Just about a quarter of his health disintegrates. Molotov into the corner, going to force Asilian out. Beautiful flick, mid-air, catches Asilian. And he think he has an idea of who the last player is. I feel like he heard some noise over there, some gunshots were firing his way, but Modi instantly caves his head. And a solid clutch in the end, but Heroic did lose 4 players.
I like that play from Modi. He definitely knew Modi was back there, seeing as Modi kind of shaved a little HP off with the M4A1S. And then, just as the smoke is fading, Modi gets behind the boxes, waits a second with the full fade, and then sure enough, blindsides him with the wide swing. So that's a cool little moment. Another 1v1 clutch, Vince, which I feel like we've had plenty of so far this first half. There has been moments for either team to pick up additional rounds, but as it stands, it's a 3-point lead for Heroic. And it's a solid buy on each side yet once more. It's light on utility, light on kits. Just goes to show things are as close as could be here.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the rounds, 2 or 3 of them at least, have come down to these very close-knit clutches. Modi is going to be tested once more. They have seemingly preferred to go ramp. Modi has struggled time and time again. Engine is going to lay the 1D on him. Although he's down to 9 health, the damage has been inflicted. And Heroic, because they lost 4 players in the previous round, their economy is awful. They've already lost 3 in this one. It's a 5-on-2. And Esetag is going to counteract with an AWP shot. Nico close range with the UMP. But he's taking a bit of damage, and now his position is compromised. And Torres, with the final nail in the coffin, spray on point. And Space Soldiers have broken Heroic down once more.
Yeah, and broken in more than one terms, because this cache is not looking great for Heroic. I feel like Space Soldiers are starting to hit their groove. We've gotten into a faster pace, but one that's not being shut down necessarily. Ramp room, definitely a prime target. I feel like maybe even singling out Madi at the moment. It'll be a force up from Heroic, everything on the table. Round 13 coming your way. And already we get these pistols positioned above the doors. Madi even goes on a bit of an excursion here. Not that it's going to pay off. Santares instantly blasts his brains out, and while EasyTag's scout will reveal itself outdoors, that could have been an opening and an opportunity for Space Soldiers to burst. But they're smart. They'll play this slowly, take their time, and figure Heroic out.
I've seen again, though, that it's going to be ramp. And Cillian, who did hop up on top of the box, hoping for the best, is going to dart down below instead into the murky depths. Pass the meanwhile onto Freiburg, opening up the map elsewhere. And Calix needs to be careful because around the corner is Nico. Zantares will make the most of his opportunity. And I feel like going forward, we've mentioned this a few times because it is just so incredibly obvious to the both of us, but what do Heroic do about ramp? Do they put an extra player in there? Do they maybe say to Nico, to Modi, pardon me, let's switch things up? Because the fact is that seems to be the main Achilles heel of this Heroic defense.
Yeah, what I would really like to see from Heroic would be to reposition EasyTag over on ramp with an AWP, because Space Soldiers walk-ins haven't had flashbangs or smoke grenades with them, right? So when you don't have that utility in your face, you're just priming an Opera to succeed. If there's anything I would possibly think of here for Heroic, it's got to be that. Especially considering that it's not as though Heroic are all too reliant on EasyTag playing outside with the sniper. We've seen Cillian position himself towards Garage using Freiburg on the crossfire. So clearly with some depth here in the setups for outdoors, I think you could definitely justify throwing a sniper on ramp.
I'll have to see if that ends up being the case. Obviously, they're not going to have enough for the AWP this round because they went for a force last one. But with a scout, maybe they're going to try something a little bit different. It looks like they are going to have one more rifle round in them in the final round of this half. And considering at one stage, this sat at 6-1 in Heroic's favor, man, how the tides have turned. Major has been tagged, though, midair from the scout. Down to 13, he will fall. And it's a decent start, but you've got to keep into consideration that apart from the scout, there's 4 USBs. So this has got to go the way of the Turkish side.
Walkout ramp comes for free. Madi's not even going to have eyes on it. They have to obviously understand that this could be possible. EasyTag scout still up and above. Major's waiting for his chance to maybe burst outdoor or catch the rotation down through vent. So there's even an additional layer here on what has already been a complete and total walkout. Cillian's hiding back in the nooks of the dark corner. He hears all these footsteps around him, and this actually goes unchecked until the Molotov, but does it spread? No. Still not going to matter. He's unable to interrupt the plant, but this is still an awkward position, and hell, they've got a kill. There's something to work with, but just so little all at the same time.
I have no idea how Cillian survived that long, really, and this is what we expected to see. A lot of kills going the way of Space Soldiers. It's that kind of position where Cillian wishes he had like a kit, because then he could justify just sitting behind the box and doing absolutely nothing if he goes unchecked and then just come in with the cheeky ninja defuse. But he felt like he had to help his brothers out, and that ultimately got him killed, even though he had a pretty solid position, all things considered. We're not going to see an AWP. That is the downside for Heroic. EasyTag's not going to be able to run with one. And keep in mind that he is top fragging on both sides. 14 and 8's had a great amount of impact. In terms of how this round is shaping up, it seems like it's going to be more of the same, but Modi is going to be able to boost his Cillian up, so he's got a bit more backup this time.
Ooh, smoke grenade interrupted outdoors. Cillian actually EasyTag throws himself into it. Although Modi's going to get a kill. This is great. This is finally a chance, I think, Heroic have locked down ramp in the opening first duel. That hasn't happened all too often.
Yeah, now we have to see if Space Soldiers have any kind of way of perforating either other side, piercing through onto outside or A. They haven't really been required to do this too many times thus far. Alex is stuck in the hut for the time. Alongside one of his teammates. Nice attack, perfect timing on the peak. 2 kills go his way. Rewarded with the brave plays. It looks like even though Heroic had a bit of a barren spell at the halfway point of that CT side, they did at least end with a round and will lead 8-7 going into the second half.
Evidence to me that, you know, this is a pretty close matchup just based on the map. I think in terms of firepower, Space Soldiers still have it. They figured out what was going on with Heroic. They singled out a weakness in the line. And you think, you know, there's a multiple rounds where EC-Tag, had he not kind of shined as a star, that it could have been even more lopsided here to the Space Soldiers. Most notably in my mind is the pistol. A 3 versus 5 situation turned back on its head just because of him, single-handedly. 4 kills in that pistol alone. So that momentum, I think, could have definitely changed things. When we think about how Heroic established an economic advantage in the opening 7 rounds, imagine that happening without pistol. I can't see it.
I fully agree. I think without S-Tag performing that well, I mean, you're looking at probably Space Soldiers, maybe even double digits there. It could have been really, really rough sailing for them, but that's all in the past. And the here and now, Space Soldiers will be on the CT side. And looks like they're going to have to deal with ramp pushes themselves. They're sure on the other foot, the table's turning. Calyx with 1. But other than that, it's been going pretty solidly in Heroic's way, passing a waterfall of terrorists. Turn into a tsunami as it pushes down into B site. Modi with his block point blank range onto Zantara is going to get a 1-for-1 trade. That is good enough for Heroic. Now post plant, Engine and Paz have a HE between the two of them, but they don't have a kit. And there's 3 separate angles they have to watch out for. Engine with this CZ is going to rip through the first frag onto Nico. But now 2 players face him, one of which is S-Tag. Paz at the top of the catwalk is going to get 1. But all the trades all day going in Heroic's favor, and they pick up the second pistol.
Yeah, that was it. Trade train all the way to the end of the round, and it's just Heroic who come out on top. Numbers advantage of the after plant. It's unfortunate, of course, for Engine that his grenade isn't really going to come into that play. If he was the man on ramp, then suddenly, you know, he chucks that into the back of the bomb site, softens up what remained of Heroic, and maybe they have a little more to fight with. But once he swung open the doors, he was presented with 2 duels simultaneously. And so Heroic and their after plant were able to fixate on each CT, 2v1 both times. And now this is the result. The rifles immediately here for Heroic. They're going to come in with 3 AKs plus the Galil. And on the other side, it's Space Soldiers buying time and just sitting back with no Kevlar. Other than Xantares, he's pretty well equipped for this situation. And Paz, well, you could say the same, but he's not being given targets just yet until he spots Sicilian above, who cannot get the kill right away, but does in the end. The P250, that's going to emerge from the secret stairs, and Major even wants to come back for more, maybe serving as a distraction as Xantares gets away.
Yeah, he is the bait on the end of the hook, and he's hoping that Heroic bite down on it hard. Calyx seeing if he can get some work done from lockers. Again, keeping 2 players interested outside. They've now spotted him in heaven. They have to be wary and cognizant of someone maybe pushing through main behind them. They do have a Cillian who's laid around there, waiting for someone to make a move. But the other thing, Squarny, is you've got 35 seconds left. And Heroic, yes, they're getting some real estate, but they haven't really transitioned into too much in the terms of an all-out push. This is getting a bit too close for comfort now.
Calyx could legitimately win this round. He has a player positioned inside of Hut, and he has Xantares beneath him. This is going to be an unchecked angle, in my opinion. And Nico and Freiberg, oh no, they do walk out, but then Xantares can blindside. There's the bait on the end of the hook you were talking about, Vince, because all of a sudden, the smaller fish has bit back. A Cillian, 2 HP, 2 kills, and an AK, but he calls it quits because there's 2 seconds left. How has that happened? Pistol kills across the board and a nice little kerneled setup on that A bomb site that just allowed Xantares to succeed.
It just felt like pure indecision to me. Like they were caught so often in this cat and mouse game where Calyx was like peeking from lockers constantly and it kept them biting on it for 15, 20, 25 seconds. At some point, Heroic have got to stamp their foot down and say, enough's enough. We're going to push in and we're going to just take the round off you. We don't have to wait while you're making a mistake. Now they're going to do that in the pistol round, ironically enough. But there's the Mac 10 from behind, Engine ripping through heads. 3 kills, money in the bank, leaving S-Tag to vent dive and see if he can maybe get a bomb plant out of this round, but he's only got 34 health. He will get the plant, but it's unlikely he pulls off a clutch against Calyx and Paz, who are both very healthy.
He's actually given a bit of a grace here in the sense that he has the chance to move in the after plant, but no, doesn't expect Paz to be over towards ramp. It suspects both players to maybe chase by vents, and so sure enough, it's an easy cleanup, but things got scary there. I do love that Heroic just go straight up into the pistol burst out door, right? What catches players off guard more so than that on a map like Nuke? And if it wasn't for Engine getting 3 kills with a single magazine of Mac 10, I don't know if Space Soldiers recuperate as well as they did.
Sure, yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's the thing, the squeaky pushes on pistol forces is the kind of round where if you just get naded into oblivion, you're like, fair enough, lads. You know, it was a quick round, now let's get back into it. If you get a couple kills, then things start to look really good. At the very least, you're going to get the bomb plant. You can even win the round from that point. So I really do like that call. As you say, if Engine doesn't step up clutch with his Mac 10, things would have been very different. Zantara's perfect crosshair placement, allowing himself enough time to react and land the headshots. Done a lot of damage to S-Attack. Sure, he goes down, but it's a worthwhile trade. Heroic are making some inroads downstairs, but from behind, Major will strike outside, thinning the herd a little bit more. And surely Heroic's days are numbered. This would be Space Soldiers taking the lead. And correct me if I'm wrong, Scrawny, I think this will be the first time in this map that would be the case.
Yep, absolutely right. Looking to establish control finally here on the opening map. The map choice of Heroic, of course. Right now, Nico's getting attacked from so many directions. He's trying to fixate these kills, but he's just not landing the shots, although he's been given a way to exit. He could literally sprint right back up vent right now.
I think that might be his plan. He's still caught in two minds, though. Not entirely sure. Maybe second-guessing himself, but he is going to move back up towards A. The idea is the same, the route just a little bit different. And maybe looking to salvage a weapon, too. He knows there was some bloodshed seen in main. Although, unfortunately for him, Paz had the same idea. 10-9, Space Soldiers in the lead for the first time.
Yeah, Vent would have guaranteed him the A site for sure. No gun, though, right? The weapon retrieve could have even then been the bailout. Had he been spotted, could have transitioned to a save. But the timing gets the best of him. Space Soldiers figure out what's up. They check the guns, and sure enough, Paz clears the board. So single op in play this round. Major's going to have that. And then it is Heroic in with a buy of their own. So this is their chance. And it is going to be a quicker setup towards the squeaky door. 4 players inside, and oh my goodness, Monty right through smoke just blindsides Zantares, hammers his head back, and now Engine's going to look to try and transition his team back into an advantage, but he's so quickly overwhelmed from all directions because there's an outer wall of smokes all at the same time. It allays the ruse where all of a sudden Paz and Calyx are distracted, and the A execute comes in just superbly.
Yeah, for all of the issues that Modi may have had in that first half where he seemed to be sort of the weak link, that was very well played. He throws the smoke out to extinguish the Molotov, knowing that Zantares pretty much has to peek, because for all Space Soldiers do at that stage, it's going to be a vent rush, or they're going to have players out onto A. He goes to the peak, and he times it perfectly just to spray roughly where a player would be if their head was coming around the corner. Instant headshot. From there on in, the other player on A is pretty much screwed as they just go straight in on him. And Space Soldiers instantly go for the save. So this does allow them to get another buy in the next round, but Heroic, fair play, hyper-aggression, that is going to keep Space Soldiers on their tiptoes for the rest of this half now. That is going to play in the back of their minds. At any point, they could have another rush.
And again, a rush that's coupled with a wall of smokes outside. I mean, Paz and Calyx, they were playing a completely different round than the rest of us because they were so distracted. They had a player back in secret stairs who's just waiting for maybe a lurk, even some kind of presence. You'd think, all right, even with the pressure in from lobby, this could very likely be a mini split. But there was literally nobody there. The entirety of Heroic just reeled their way back in through lobby, into sight, grabbed the plant, and the smokes on the after plant were so fantastic too. They locked down Mini. They really gave no chance for Space Soldiers to get back into the round, even if they wanted to fight for it.
So with this tactical timeout being called, with so much still on the table and available, Space Soldiers with a full buy, Heroic with a full buy of their own, haven't really needed an AWP on this side thus far. They've been happy to just run with the AKs for very aggressive plays. see what they can get done here. Again, you're in a pretty dicey position for Space Soldiers. Heroic are fine. They've got to buy next round regardless what happens. It's going to be another aggressive play, and Nico lands the headshot a second onto Engine. Beautiful entry frags. Now it's up to Calyx to try and somehow salvage the round, but no, the damage has been done. Nico take a bow. That was absolutely disgusting.
And crucial too, right? Everybody's bursting inwards. Calyx wants to get into the gunfight, but even he only finds one before, I believe it was Freiburg, saves the day. But if Nico doesn't land 2 shots like that, then this play cannot happen so fast. It can't happen so smoothly. So yes, tip of the hat to him. Single-handedly stepping up. And off of the back of a pause as well. That's just rude, Vince.
That's going to be a tilt right there. You know, off the back of the pause, this is what we're going to do, lads. We're going to set up here. Oh, wait, we've just been smashed off a rush. Brilliant. I don't really know how you counteract that unless you send 2 players into main and threw 2 grenades or 2 mollies or something onto Squeaky. And if you do that, then you're going to be very vulnerable elsewhere.
Yeah, and also if you're committing your utility there, I mean, frag grenades are one thing, you soften up your targets, but Molotovs, quick extinguish. I don't think Nico's going to try to stop for smoke in his face. You can definitely hammer that play home regardless of the response. It's tough. It's a tough play to kind of deal with, especially if Heroic are individually stepping up on that kind of a level. But here's an alteration, as it is, again, just 2 guns saved from the previous round for Space Soldiers. The 3 others will just grab some pistols. And the wall of smoke has already afforded this lurk down in through the stairwell. Nico's looking for entries elsewhere. And he didn't let off the W key at all. That was a pure and total sprint downstairs. But he's come back with a volley of mollies. Nico's going to give chase to this kill, clearing Xantares from Garage. But it's the guns they want to deal with, Vince.
Indeed, and if they want to take them, they're going to have to play more central. They're going to have to get up close with Space Soldiers, which is where the pistols become more of a viable threat. So Heroic, yes, they've got outside control, but if you remember a few rounds prior, they had the exact same sort of scenario under wraps, and they let it slip. So I think we'll see them going for the jugular a little bit more. They lacked the killer instinct last time, and this time they can sense the blood in the water, and they are going to strike. Calyx dead and buried in Hut. I think they may have an idea there's another player in there. If not, then Engine could be in the thick of the action with his CZ. He's encircled by terrorists. He's not going to be able to stop the bomb from being planted. Wasn't even interested in going for it. I think he's more interested in going for an exit frag, but that's not going to happen either. And elsewhere, Major and Paz are going to stick together as thick as thieves with these 2 weapons and see if they can take them into the next round. But Heroic, credit to them, after a pretty brutal passage of play, they have certainly dusted themselves off and they're back in the driver's seat once more.
You know, the combination of that end to the first half and then losing the force in the second definitely was a bruising. A little battered, but they're all right now. This is definitely them coming into a T side that I would say you can expect from them. They're going to have the familiarity on Nuke, regardless of a recent pickup in the form of Vasilian. And another pause will be called here. I guess if there's any silver lining for Space Soldiers in the previous round, it's the fact that the AK and op they went in with also managed to come out alive. So extra little bit of cash behind them now. Heroic, I do like that they don't even give the chase. Allow Space Soldiers to have their trimmings, because the rounds and the wins and the cash is stacking up the same for Heroic.
And I wonder if there's some next level mind games from Heroic. Like, we know they've got an AWP. We know an AWP sucks against fast pushes on A. Do we go for it again?
Off of the back of another pause?
Yeah. Because the Space Soldiers think, nah, they're not going to do this again, are they? Do we actually go in fully? Do we throw a whole bunch of grenades towards Squeaky? Because if they then push outside a ramp, then we're screwed. So I mean, this is why these fast pushes really get into the back of teams' minds. They can't take anything for granted.
Let's see. It would be a thing of beauty. It would be ballsy. And it looks very probable. Molotov's down, trying to stop it, but they are just going to charge right out. Xantares can only get one, and Paz from above will time in. It's the engine defense that looks great, though. So many bodies in position, and there's just nothing from Heroic in terms of entries. That was not nearly as convincing as last time.
Yeah, and what was really cool to see there from Space Soldiers is they actually slightly adjusted their setup. Instead of having Zentares just in main by himself and then Engine playing like on top of the hut, he played at the back of the silos. They had an extra player in heaven. They threw 2 grenades down to Squeaky. Even though it doesn't get all the kills, it actually slows you down when you get hit by a grenade. So that little change of speed allowed them to set up, get really good crossfires. And now, into this next round, Heroic are going back in aggressive once again.
Solid grenade. Easy tag dropped to 49 thanks to Zentares. But they are still just going to conga line their way past through the smoke silently. Maudie trying to create a distraction, but Zentares understands what's going on, so he will just dip and duck down vent. T's starting to flurry by. They are going to start to reveal themselves with so much noise, and Zentares whipping around in vents goes down to no avail. Not a single kill from him, but Paz can chime in with 1. And he's still alive for another, and damage after the fact. It's still even though, an Engine will take a slight advantage as he clears the lurker.
That's absolutely nuts by Paz. If they win this round, it's off the back of him. Honestly, that was absolutely sick play. As you say, also damaging S-Attack to a point where Engine, it's overkill to the head, but he was dead anyway. Freiburg, he's been in scenarios like this time and time again. There's 1, 2 more to find, but Major has him locked down with the AWP. And Paz, very, very well played from control room, really dictating how that round ended up going in favor of Space Soldiers.
I love the new corridors down there towards control room just because it gives CTs more fallbacks. If you're going to give Heroic this, footing and quick push downwards, well, not only do they have to get past Zentares through vent, but there's 2 or 3 corners that Paz can continue to retreat from. And sure enough, he uses those to isolate those kills, locks it down on the staircase, and now EC Tag is looking to find some early impact off the AWP. If I'm not mistaken, it's the first time they've had a sniper here to the T side.
That is correct, yeah. They've been running with either SMGs or AKs the whole time, like very fast. So that is a declaration of intent that obviously they're going to slow things down a little bit, maybe realizing that the fast plays onto A not quite being as prevalent and much of an issue for Space Soldiers to contend with. So slowing it right down, nades outside, looking to push behind it. Alex is laid in wait. He's going to take the position of just outside lockers. Pazna, meanwhile, chilling in secret. A systematic take of outside now in full effect behind a wall of smokes.
Still trying to utilize that sniper, though. Not being given much of a target. You get that player from Secret Stairs who falls back to the closer corner. Paz still lingering on. This could open things up to the mini-wrap, but EC Tag's kill to Calyx then gives them all the control of outdoors. So this will reel Major off of ramp. He's going to have to try and get back some of this real estate, but Freiburg with a nasty angle through the windowsill is able to catch him, and now it's Zentares to fall from heaven. So Paz has to strike from behind as Engine serves it as a distraction, and it's not looking good. It's a 1v4.
Credit to Heroic for mixing things up. This is why, even when they've been taking very aggressive, they've still been throwing smokes outside, because it doesn't telegraph anything. It's so important that you don't telegraph plays. Because the teams out there, the intelligent teams, the likes of Space Soldiers, with the likes of Major who's at the helm, is going to call that. He's going to see it from a mile off. So this time, Heroic, they went slower. They forced out all this utility onto Squeaky. We saw 2 or 3 nades plus Molotovs being tossed down there, allowing them to completely take a charge of outside, move around the outside, get the frags, get some kind of control over heaven, and the rest just fell into place. So Space Soldiers on the back foot, and their funds actually look really poor too. Major's got a lot of money. Paz could do with saving this. Other than him, though, you got 2 players that are going to be below $2,000. What do they do here? This is such a tough decision.
And we're getting into the nitty-gritty. We're looking at the last few rounds, so a pause absolutely justified with this one. I feel like Heroic are feeling stable at this moment, a little confident, right? Sure enough, you lose 2 rounds back-to-back, but you're looking at kill distribution here. Heroic are fine. They're good to go. I think it's really Nico that's kind of stepping up to that second man in command after EC Tag, who's just been playing phenomenally both sides.
Absolutely. He's been consistently very good. I think he finished the first half with 15 or 16 kills, and he's on 24. So he's actually had a pretty even spread of frags across the board, which isn't too often. Normally you have a player that goes lights out on one half, then kind of slows down on the other. Not for this man. He's done it with the AK. He's done it with the AWP. He's going to have an AWP up against him in the hands of Major. Calyx with just the 5-7. MP9 for Engine. This is rough. If Space Soldiers lose, they're eyeing up the very real possibility that they just get edged out of this map. It is the choice of Heroic, but they're so close to maybe taking it for themselves.
The resulting buy will leave Calyx on a pistol, an MP9 for Engine. Some of these players still had hardware, but no, Major's gone. EC Tag's able to win that op duel. And that's just where his individual presence is going to set up Heroic to succeed yet again. And not only has he been good across both halves, but he's just been good throughout the entirety of this qualifier. Wild to think that once upon a time he was a benched player brought back because of roster circumstances. He's really a gem for this lineup, but look at Calyx's position. It's gone unchecked. Now he looks to strike, but the jumping players offsets the damage. He does still pick up a kill, and Paz will do the same, but it's left us in a 3v3 with Bomb going back towards lobby. This is intricate.
One stumbling block could be all that was required from Space Soldiers, but they've completely vacated this site other than Engine. And he had 3 separate angles to watch out for. Centaurus with 2 kills, though, bringing this back into Space Soldiers' hands well and truly. Freiburg, the weight of this round on his shoulders, potentially the weight of this map on his shoulders. The bomb is planted, but Centaurus with the spray, gonna pick up 3 kills, and Space Soldiers will live to fight another day. That's gonna be heartbreaking for Heroic, but you know, we're all tied up once again at 13 apiece.
And that immediate reset's not going to be too bad, seeing as the cash is still there for Heroic, but it puts things dire. This is definitely a streaky situation where one round could and should translate into what might be this first map. But classic Xantares, right? The turning point, arguably, so far this map, and it's him that picks up the 3K. After Engine, who is pinned in behind the vents, had a free shot on the player who walks out hut. I mean, there was no contest there. He simply missed the bullet. And he even missed the follow-up shot right after. So Xantares bailing his sinking ship out of a tough situation, but Heroic back on the cusp of this A site. They're trying to pinch through Mini. Xantares is going to stop this again with a multi-frag, but he's only going to fight himself too. So Engine needs to step up, and he's got Major by his side. But Madi, well, Madi's got him to shy away a little. Immediately, things slow down.
Important Molotov too. It does buy up a little bit of time for Madi to relocate on the site, but she will be scavenging through potentially the vents. He's just checking to make sure no one's coming up, allowing Celine to go for the plant. Nade lands slap bang on his head, and so will the bullets onto Calyx. Madi has picked up 2 frags of his own. He's keeping this round alive, making a oh my god! What the hell was that flick at the end? That's ridiculous!
What? How? That's incredible. I don't... Vince, oh my god. I don't even know if that's on purpose.
I'm going to say it was, just because I want to believe it is, but that is one of the most ridiculous transfers I have seen. I'm speechless.
God. Madi, who has quietly sat at the bottom of the scoreboard, just blows us away. That's phenomenal. The fact that he isolates the mini player first, and then both those CTs thinking they can commit to the 2v1, but no. And then it's just shattered economy. I mean, I just talked about how Xantares steps up in his big position, in his, game-changing moment, but that's just a whole other level. Unprecedented.
Oh, man. I feel like I just need a little bit of time to fully process that. And so Space Soldiers, evidently, they're like, nah, call the top pause, get us out of it right now. And additionally, if you just contextualize that play in the grand scheme of this map, Space Soldiers, they win the previous round. They come back with a pretty poor buy. They get wrecked off Modi. That was like a 1v4.
Yeah.
And their economy's dead.
Yeah.
The worst possible time to lose that clutch.
That's the kind of play that just leaves Madi grinning ear to ear. That puts a smile on your face. Not if you're space soldiers. That's for damn sure, because you can see this is rocky waters ahead. I mean, they're gonna have to force buy and hope that somebody on their side can step up just as big. There's no other solution in my mind. You buy out to the end here. That's just Maudie setting the nail in the coffin, and now they're really looking to hammer it in.
Wow, seems like they're taking their sweet time over this. Cillian, the only player to not have a weapon just yet. Space Soldiers still have a few players just deliberating over which way they're going to go. I would suggest, well, with Calyx going for 5-7, it's likely they are going to force into this round. And the match has been resumed. So indeed, we will have a force buy. MP7, UMP, M4, Zantares can dip down to an SMG2. Indeed, he shall with an MP7. So Heroic. Was that ridiculous Modi play the moment where they claim their map? If they win this round, it's looking very, very likely.
Express lane to the outside. Heroic just going to push their way past, and there's no defense there whatsoever. And even then, they're not going to go down secret. They're going to try to burst back into A. They have used Mini to get in here, but Engine's going to try to lock down the line. He cannot get himself a second kill. Zantares is also dropped. So 4v3. I love that. They kind of slither in behind Space Soldiers. When Space Soldiers are pushing up into the lobby, they realize there's an opening, and now there's damage dealt. Both Nico and Cillian on shaky legs. And Freiburg, well, he holds the bomb site.
Nico in the same position that Molly destroyed. Space Soldiers putting Major down. And Calyx with his 5-7. 3 players to find, 3 separate angles. Mission impossible. And he decides that he doesn't want to accept this. He's going to back away and save what little he actually has. And that's not even going to happen. Nico will trade him out of the round. 2 map points for Heroic, with Space Soldiers on pretty much as bare bones of buy, as you'll see.
5 1vx clutches so far this map, and after Maudie's, Heroic have now picked up 3 of them. 2 of the 1v1 situations in this half have both gone to Heroic, though. That's going to be the difference maker when we really get down to the nitty-gritty. It's another express lane outdoors. They are just going to walk past towards secret stairs, and the flashbang of Major's scout's not going to do too much. At least Maudie's been cleared, so that's the lurk, and Paz can even erect some kind of a defense. His Engine gets the upgrade into the AK, but he too toppled thanks to a Cillian, as it looks like Heroic have map 1.
It sure does. Calyx and Major, last line of defense. Calyx with a deagle, with 1 and a second. Hold on. It's going to be down to the old grizzled veteran of Freiburg to strike once more. Right position to strike onto Calyx, and he has over a minute to play with. He can really screw with the mind of Major. Not required. Freiburg's going to get it done rapidly quick. And that's going to be us moving ahead to train with Heroic 1-0 to the good.
That's all Maudie. Simple as that.